Okay, today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2019, and we are going to interview Grandpa Rick. Okay, Grandpa, please state your full name and tell us what year you were born.
Wesley Richard Christensen, 1943,
And your birthday?
February 4,
And where were you born?
in Idaho Falls, Idaho, at the LDS Hospital.
LDS Hospital. Okay.
That's what it was called in the day.
And can you tell us anything about the house that you grew up in as a child? How many bedrooms did it have? How many bathrooms did it have? Did you have your own bedroom or did you share with siblings?
It grew as time went on, as we added more kids. And the house that I originally was in, I was too young to remember that one, but the house that I grew up in from probably 3 years old on till I left was in Shelley. It originally was a two-room house that had been burnt, and somebody died in it. And it was down at the end of our lane, and they drug it up and put it on a foundation, and then they added a kitchen and a bathroom, and eventually they added another living room and another bedroom, and it kept growing. Most of the time, though, I had two other brothers with me in our bedroom.
So did you live in Shelley until you graduated high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Same house.
Same house. You guys just kept adding on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so tell me about your parents. What are their names?
Wesley Brigham Christensen and Dorothy Ray Burnham.
And do you know the years they were born?
Dad was born in 1916, July 15th. Mother was born January 9th, 1919.
And were they both born in Idaho?
Yes.
Okay.
Mother was born in Idaho Falls. Dad was born in Shelley.
So who was more strict, your mom or your dad?
Dad.
Do you have a vivid memory of something that you were ever disciplined for as a child?
Too many to
To
speak
recount?
of just one.
Were you spanked or grounded? Or neither? How did they discipline you?
Spanked, kind of booted with the side of a boot, grounded, all the above.
Okay. How did your family earn money?
My dad was a farmer. He was a surveyor, and then he bought the farm, and we farmed for years.
And did your mom work as well?
No,
She's-
other than she was a violinist, and through the years she would teach violin and make a little bit of spending money on the side.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters.
Hey, don't do that. And will you tell us their names?
Kendall Burnham Christensen, Tara.
Okay. The names of your brothers and sisters? Just let them have it.
Kendall.
Why? Why did you just take it?
Just let them have it. Okay. Please tell us the names of all of your siblings.
Yes.
Okay, in order: Kendall, Terrell, Marnay, Joel, Brian, and Diane.
Okay. And did you have grandparents as a child?
All but one grandfather.
Okay, is there anything... Well, let's move on to this section. Okay. What were you like as a child? What did you like to eat? What did you like to do for fun? Did you have any favorite places to go or favorite games?
Well, I don't know. It covers quite a period of time, but I, lived out on the farm alone. Liked to visit the neighbors, and we hunted and played in the yard. Just did normal kid stuff, I think.
Did you walk to school or how did you get to school?
Most of the time we rode the bus, although when I got a little older I was impatient and wanted to get there, but walked some of the time just to get home earlier. Or
Did you get an allowance as a child?
pretty much.
Do you remember how much it was?
I think $1 a week.
$1 a week. Did you like to spend your money right away, or were you a saver?
Oh, probably a little bit of both. I didn't like save it up, but I wasn't a spendthrift either.
And what kind of responsibilities did you have at home when you were a kid?
Oh, we had to take out the garbage, and then when I got a little older, of course, I was the oldest and had to feed the cows and water the cows and chores like that. And then a little older, I had to move pipe and work on the farm.
Okay, what kind of school did you go to?
Shelley Elementary School, and then we had a junior high the last 2 years, the 7th and 8th grade, and then high school was 4 grades in those days.
Would you consider yourself a good student?
Oh, that's it.
I didn't have very good grades, but disappointingly, I should have. Yeah, I was a good student. I was always told I was quick, and it was kind of became a deterrent, so I took the easy way
So you were smart, but did you ever slough school?
a lot.
A lot. What was your favorite subject in school?
Math,
And your least favorite?
English.
Did you have any heroes or role models when you were a child?
Not really. There were probably some sports figures, and but I don't remember idolizing or looking up to any heroes.
Okay. How did you spend your summers when you weren't in school?
Moved pipe and early on run the tractor, hauled hay.
So you didn't have a lot of free time, or you had to
No
work?
free time. Worked.
Work during the summer. Okay, did your family have any Christmas traditions?
Nothing special. We had a tree, and of course, up till a certain point in time, Santa Claus existed, and Christmas was a great time. And as being the oldest, I learned about Santa Claus early, and when I knew around Christmas time there was shopping done, and the car, if it was left unguarded, I knew where the key was and what might be in the trunk, so I got in trouble sometimes because I would preview Christmas.
Okay, do you remember any Christmas gift that you were anticipating receiving as a child?
Lots of them. I got some.
But
Red Wing
anything that
Loggers.
really stands out that you really, really wanted?
Not really. I got little things. We were just taught and trained to not ask for great things, and we weren't rich, so
How many presents did you get on Christmas morning?
maybe 2 or 3 personal presents. You know, maybe one bigger one that you'd kind of semi-requested.
And did your grandparents come over for Christmas?
We usually went over to the grandparents. There was 8 in their family, and had like 52 grandkids, and so it was tradition that picnics, Christmas, we'd always go over to our grandparents.
Are there any inventions that you remember from when you were a child?
That
Like
things that were-
anything new? Like,
anything new? Oh yeah, I mean they had spud bulkers, which changed from handling potatoes with by hand in the sack, and during my early years they put up hay by pitchfork, and we learned to bale hay. So many things like that as the equipment kind of progressed. You know, we kind of progressed with it.
what about like the TV or the phone?
Dad always
How
had a
did
lot-
those things evolve?
Dad always had a lot of friends, and there was somebody in Utah, and I can remember probably in 1954, 5,
Mm-hmm.
television was coming to Idaho Falls. It was mostly a test pattern during the day, but you know, only the wealthy could afford. Not just the wealthy, but mostly the wealthy would afford TVs. And I remember Dad loaded up a truckload of potatoes, took to Salt Lake, and brought a Philco TV home. And so we sat and watched a couple hours in the afternoon that it was on, and that's how I
Probably
remember
only
it.
1 or 2 channels?
Yeah, well, no, one channel,
Oh, 1
but
channel.
1 or 2 programs,
Wow. Okay.
black and white.
Black and white. How many students graduated from your high school?
I'm not positive. I think 65, 66,
What year did you graduate high school?
1961.
And then did you go to a college or university directly after?
I did. I went to Ricks College, which is BYU of Idaho in Rexburg.
Do you even know who those are?
What did you study at Rick's?
Probably not enough.
You just took general courses?
Yes, and I didn't last long in school. I didn't like it, left to my own devices, and I didn't go to all my classes. And
So then well, let's see, did you serve in the military at all?
no,
No. So then how did you decide, what was your first job after high school and your little bit of college?
oh well, after a year of a failed effort to go to college, I somehow got interested in electronics, and they had the electronics school in Pocatello, so I started the electronics, and I really kind of enjoyed it, loved it. And of course there I worked. I'd gotten married right off the bat, and so there had different jobs, worked at a bakery, and just worked while I went through school.
So the electronics store, and then when did you marry Grandma Paula? What year?
1963.
And you had how many children?
4.
4. Their names?
Your dad, Paul, Greg, Carrie, and Ryan.
And Paul was born 1965.
1965.
Okay. How did you decide to name Paul? How did he get that name?
I'm not positive. His name is Paul Richard. Richard is obviously it's me.
Family name.
But Paul.
And then do you recall anything else about the rest of the kids' names? Greg, Carrie, or Ryan, how they were named?
I think Grandma liked Greg. I don't remember how we came up with Greg. And Greg K is just the letter K, which kind of stands for Kohler.
Yeah.
And then Carrie, we just thought was a pretty name. Carrie Marie, which was Grandma's middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan J. Why the J, I don't know. We liked Ryan.
Okay. Do you recall anything funny or embarrassing one of your kids said at an early age that you'll never forget?
Nothing that stands
Nothing
out
comes
as
to
far
mind?
as being embarrassed.
Okay, how do you feel about raising your own children? What was the best part or the hardest part when they were young, little kids?
Probably at this point in time, the hardest part's probably the best part. It's when you struggle the hardest to try to teach them something or try to show them something, and it was not always easy. It was kind of frustrating. But when you see the results, then that's become the best.
So, are you proud of your children today?
Absolutely.
What is well, I guess you kind of answered that question. The best thing about being a parent, seeing the results?
Yes.
Okay, how many grandchildren do you have?
12.
12 grandchildren. And then what year did you marry Becky?
1994.
Okay. Do you know the meaning behind your family name, Christensen, or if there's any origins?
I do not.
No? Did you have any nicknames when you were a kid?
Ricky.
Ricky? Are you more like your mom or your dad?
Dad.
How so?
Just the personality, his traits, and and in later life I've learned that he'd become a hero, but only after I was raised up, because he was kind of not a dictator, but boy,
He was
laid
hard?
the law down. Yeah, he wasn't a friend. He was my dad.
So he had high expectations?
Yes.
What was the most important family value to your mom and dad, if you had to pick one?
I can't pick one. I know for one thing they wanted us, taught me to be terribly independent and responsible.
And a hard worker, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think your 3 best qualities are?
I'm sorry, I just don't
You
sit
don't
around and
want
think
to.
about my good qualities. The truth is, I kind of think about the qualities I think are not my best, and I've always tried to work on them and
So what would you say your 3
eliminate.
worst qualities are?
Oh, there's too many to list.
Well,
No, as far as good qualities, okay, one for sure. I just made a deal on a rental, and I consider one of my best qualities. My word is good. My word is the law. I don't need the paper, and I miss that. That used to be the
just
way
how it
things
is,
were,
yeah.
and it's not that way anymore, unfortunately.
Okay,
And I'm fair.
okay.
I know what being fair is.
Let's see. If you won $1 million tomorrow, what would you do with the money?
Well, I'll probably put it in the bank and invest it.
What's one fun thing you would do with the money?
I've given it a lot of thought the last few years, and there's probably a few things I would do, but I don't dwell on them.
Yeah.
I don't have a list. I'm doing today, every day, what's fun. My life is great. I'm living a great life. I'm thrilled to death.
So is there anything that you've always wanted but still do not have?
No,
So you're completely
totally
satisfied.
satisfied.
Okay, can you describe your typical day now from just morning to evening?
Well, I usually get up at 5:30, have coffee. Nowadays, get on the internet. And then before I kind of quit managing the apartments, we would take off, meet my partner, and on ones I had partner with, take care of whatever issues were there, come home, have lunch. And the last few years, kind of loved to, after eat, go down and take a little short nap and work in the garden.
Nice.
Of course, we camp a lot.
And then can you just touch on your kind of annual routine now of traveling to Mexico and your
That's easy.
Vegas?
Of course, we kind of follow the warm weather, simply put. But we come here, I love the garden, love the yard, and we come here, stay here till probably October. When it gets cold, go to Las Vegas. Do the same similar things there other than having a yard.
So is your routine in Vegas kind of the same as you have here? Just
A little less active because it's a town.
You don't have a yard.
We don't have a yard. But we yard sale and we go to thrift stores, and we both like the same things, Becky and I. So we're pretty compatible that
you
way.
love the quilt shops, right?
Yeah, I don't love the quilt shops, but I tolerate them. And then, knock on wood, for the last 25 years, we've gone to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I've always loved Mexico, always gone to Mexico. But with Becky, the last 25 years, Puerto Vallarta, and started out a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now this year will be 6 weeks in January and February.
Okay. What do you remember most about your 20s?
Having children.
Having kids?
And a new job that I thought some success at, RCA.
Okay, what do you remember most about your 30s?
I guess finished raising the kids
Stability?
to a degree, and came back to Idaho, where there were grandparents and relatives here. Got in the lumber yard, and last time I ever worked for somebody was in 1974, which was RCA. So since then I've been independent and self-employed.
Okay, what do you remember most about your 40s?
Oh, probably the.
Were your
steel
kids all adults by then?
Well, not adults, but they were
Um,
oh, getting to be adults, and I was in construction, steel systems, and I got in a bad accident in 1987,
oh, that's right.
which I'd have been 44, and the kids were still. Paul and Greg were a little older. Carrie and I think Ryan were still in school.
So did that accident set you back physically?
Oh yeah.
For how many years would you say?
Well, still
Still.
probably a little bit now, but I pretty much put it behind me.
Okay, what do you remember most about your 50s?
How good I felt for being 50, how much I enjoy life, and how
And you started to get grandchildren in your 50s, right?
yeah, and you probably think this is because of the interview, you doing the interview, but no offense to Jake, who's sitting here, but you were the first, and I don't know how to put it sensitively, and you're irreplaceable. And then each one came along later, and they're all irreplaceable, but you were something special.
So do you feel like becoming a grandpa changed your life?
No, but it I can't think of the word. It just kind of proved what I've been doing was somewhat of a success, having grandkids and your kids growing up, and
It
that.
enhanced your life.
Oh yes, by far.
Okay, what do you remember most about your 60s? Being in your 60s.
Of course, by 60s, Becky and I had been married for 8 or 9 years, and we just are so compatible. We golfed and just enjoyed doing everything in Puerto Vallarta. And at some point in time in my 60s, 60s, we got the Las Vegas property and started traveling more and just kind of took it easy,
So more leisurely.
more leisurely.
And then, does anything stand out about being in your 70s?
Well, yeah, life is still great, and physically I felt super. Always honestly felt like I was Superman, and I know I'm not, but I never missed a day of work in my life, and some of it was out of stubbornness, I guess, and some of it I was just being healthy. But and I learned to. I love that. I love being able to do that. And when I got to be 70, I thought, man, I feel pretty good at 70 and want to continue. And of course, talked to my sister one day. I said, "There's no cancer in our family," which come back to haunt me.
Let's see, was there any birthday that you were least enthusiastic about? Do you remember dreading turning
No,
30, 40, 50?
birthdays are kind of inconsequential to me.
So you don't mind aging?
Early on as a kid, the birthdays had a party, and I loved it, at home when you were 6, 7 years old and had the neighbors over. But at some point in time, it's just my personality. To me, it was just another day.
It's just part of
and
life.
I did not celebrate it. I did not hate to see some of the milestone 40, 50
Right.
years coming. Another day.
Okay, how do you feel about growing older? What would you say the hardest thing about growing older is, or the best thing?
The best thing is seeing your family develop and having your health. And there's nothing worse. There's nothing bad about getting older. The bad part's not getting older.
Right. Is there anything that you wish you had done differently in your life?
Oh, not really, because I just feel like I've just had a very charmed life. Although at times I recognize that what I'd endeavored to do as a vocation was probably well within my reach, and realized I probably had the potential to do more, which goes back to my school years, and I underachieved. And I was probably argued a lot, thought I should be a lawyer. But I can remember at 30, I thought, well, it's too late to go back to school to be anything. And then at 40, I thought, I could have been an attorney by now.
Oh, if you would
But
have
it's
started.
too late now. Then
Too
at
late
50, I thought I could be an attorney now. But it's too late now to go to school. And so the message is, it's never too late. And yes, I do have a little bit of remorse that I didn't probably use more of what I was given.
Okay.
I think I had a chat with your brother one time about that, about realizing potential.
Your potential? Yeah.
What, am I wet down?
Nobody's
Am
talking
I?
to you.
Okay. If you live another 20 years, what do you plan to do? Do you want to live another 20 years?
No,
No?
that'd make me 96.
So you don't want to
I
live to
don't
be
see
96?
any value. The things I love to do, the things I love about life. Although, let me say this,
Lila,
I'm sure, like everybody else, you know, if I got to be 95, I wouldn't want to die tomorrow. Nobody does. But I value my life as it is now. I value being healthy, being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I don't want to get to the years when your health has restricted your lifestyle, and I
Okay.
want good years.
So if you're to the point of bad health, then...
Yeah, I don't care about
But what if
those
you
years.
felt the same as you
I-
do
I-
now when you're 95?
I wouldn't, because historically my family might get to 90, and the last few years is going to be a little bit tough. So I feel like I had about 10 good years left, which I look forward to the good years.
Okay. Let's see. What do you know now that you wish you'd known when you were young? You probably kind of already touched on that it's never too
I
late.
did, kind of, other than I was also given my mother was a violin player, and she just loved music, and so she really tried her best to get all the kids to enjoy music. Since I was the first, I was the trumpet player without all the fingers I needed. That's about the only instrument I could play.
Oh yeah,
And,
when was the last time
I
you
was-
played trumpet?
I was given lessons and given every benefit I could, and truth is, I was Shelley's best trumpet player, and much to my mother's pride.
Yeah.
And the last time I really played it was after I went to Rick's College. I kind of put it away. I didn't keep it up, and now I totally regret having given that gift that I let.
You just didn't pursue
I
it
didn't
far
pursue
enough.
it, and now I listen to trumpet music, and I think, oh, woe is me.
Okay, what advice did your grandparents or parents give you that you remember best?
Oh, they give a lot of advice. They were good leaders, and my grandmother, everybody that I grew up with, they didn't talk a lot. They didn't give you a lot of advice and didn't discuss it. They lived it. And you were expected to live like they lived. My grandmother was dynamite. My grandpa was quite successful and entrepreneurial, and my dad worked hard and expected us to work hard. And
So
about
they
the only
showed
thing
you
I
the
could-
way instead of...
Yeah, about the only thing I can remember is he would always say, there's going to be a lot of things in life that you don't want to have to do, but you're going to have to do.
That's a good piece of advice. Do you have a philosophy of life?
Not really.
If a young person came to you asking what's the most important thing for living a good life, what would you say?
Be honest, be responsible, be independent, work hard. Of course, I've invested for years. I think still a lot to be said for making investments. And stick to a good job and work to the end and reap the rewards.
And what do you want your children and grandchildren to always remember about you?
Well, I don't know. I guess I do want them to be proud of me.
They are proud of you. Okay. That's it.